Abusuya Kennedy akompre kwa Agyapong ni spokesperson Kwasi Kwarteng ayade say nei wahwe global info analytics omo survey anase post omo de aba abontin for MPP presidential primaries baso 31st January 2026.
Kwasi Kwarteng, Mr. Kwarteng, your candidates, you've been selling your candidate for some time now.
Yes.
According to those that Mr. Dankwa spoke to, they don't appear to have so much faith in him. And that's how come he ended up with 17%. Quite a long way from the person they are projecting to win the primaries. Does this dampen the spirit? Does it say that you are just not working hard enough to convince the delegates of the MPP to change course for ahead of 2028?
Elton, thank you very much for the opportunity. Interestingly, the last person I spoke to before entering your studio was Mr. Musa Dankwa.
Okay.
Because I wanted to understand and get more clarity into his methodology and what he has put out there. And of course, let me take this opportunity to acknowledge the good work that he's doing. Of course, I mean, as soon as you put a research there and some findings there, it's just an invitation for people to criticize it. And Dr. Razak is criticizing, I mean, beyond him, you realize that other people are also criticizing even the methodology and what have you. But I mean, for me, I'm not a researcher properly so-called, of course, but of course, my lay knowledge, I'm sure, as the program goes on, I'll be able to also bring my, few, I don't want to call it criticism, but I want to maybe label them as some few clarifications that I will need. But you see, the most important thing to the question that you ask is not really about assuming without admitting that even every findings that he brought, we have to take it to clients. I don't think it's really a problem about dampening the spirit of Team Ken.
Right.
Rather, it will rather be a very sad situation for the MPP. And I come from this angle because, I mean, you look at the last election that we entered. Dr. Bawumia was our candidate, obviously having a very huge disapproval rate. If you want to even compare his votes that he garnered to that of his predecessor, President Akufo-Addo, in 2020, that is a decline of about 31%. Even the northern region where he comes from, if you want to compare his votes to that of President Akufo-Addo, you are looking at a decline of about 16.1%. He led us into an election that, as I speak with you, Elton, out of 9 regions, in terms of even the parliamentary seats that we have, we are looking at 5 seats out of 98 seats.
Right.
NDC has 93 and we have 5 seats. So I'll be extremely surprised that the good people of MPP, after seeing the results and performance of the Bawumia-led election, will then go in this direction. Recall, in the biblical case of Israel, when the Israelites were determined to move in a certain direction, it got to a point that even God stood aside and seconded their motion. Because God, in his own wisdom, had wanted to be the king of Israel. Right. But Israel were determined to move in a certain direction. And God, at some point, when Israel pushed God through the prophet Samuel, at some point, God said, well, Saul, then we'll give you Saul. And we all saw the consequence. Later, the people of Israel had to come in arms and they had to come and apologize to God. And then God then showed them mercy and gave them David. I'm not sure that is a replay that we're going to have here. Because if not for nothing at all, the good people of MPP will take a lesson from the biblical case of Israel and the case of Saul vis-a-vis God's supreme plan for them. But of course, I mean, it's a research. Let me also hasten to add that...
you think that he may not have spoken to MPP delegates?
Not really, but I'm saying that assuming, that's why I gave that caveat, that assuming without admitting that we are even to go by the dictate of it. I mean, then it's not really a scary situation for the MPP, but it's rather for Ken, but it's rather a scary situation for the MPP as a party. Because if you look at our trajectory and the history of the party, if you look at Professor Dubois, even in his first attempt, getting about 30.29%, then President Kufuor taking it to around 39%, then even President Akufo-Addo getting about 45%, to the extent that even getting about 49%, to the even extent that even during his first round, he even won with a margin of about 500,000 votes difference, only to lose at a time to Professor Mills. Yeah. And then even his second, the second maintaining the same 45, and the third round, which had about 6.7 million votes in terms of the nominal votes. And then Dr. Bawumia then taking it to a downward trend. Of course, the first in our history, the worst performance ever witnessed by any MPP candidate, to the downward trend to about 4.6 million, representing 41.6%. and then the MPP people see this as normal, then I'll be very surprised. But for me, let me state this. We consider this research work and the findings put out by Musa Dankwa as an opportunity and a feedback to just improve the work that we are doing. We don't want
just 5 months to go.
We don't want to be antagonists. I mean, even with 2 days. This, if you look at the findings that has been put out there, this work was done just within the space of 8 days, right, where people may even have concern about the narrow time and the narrow duration of even soliciting such responsibility. Because people feel that within such narrow period, you may get people's views and attitudes, voter attitudes and voter behavior even fluctuating. But so people may have still concern. So if you have been able to gather this within the space of just 8 days, it presupposes that another 8 days or even 5 months, a lot of things can change. But I'm saying that for us in Team Ken, we take it as a very good feedback. Is an invitation for us to improve in the things that we are doing. Of course, that's not the first research that we have been exposed to. Recently, the African's Sanity Survey projected Ken to lead with about 54%. We also have even our own internal researches. There are a lot of other researches that we are doing. Other researchers has projected Ken to win and to be winning. And interestingly, if you recall, I just want to draw your attention to in the year 2020, the same Global Info Analytic, they predicted President Akufo-Addo to get 50.4, President Mahama to get 34.9, with about 2% leaning toward GUM.
This is 2020.
Yes, 2020. But in reality, Mahama had 47.3. So it's the same Global Info Analytic. That's how polling are. Voter behaviors keep changing based on the variables and the dynamics. But for us, we take it as an opportunity to once again go back to the delegates, let them understand the reality on the ground, give them the broader picture, let them understand. Because interestingly, I mean, if delegates today, assuming again, without admitting that we have to go by this, if a candidate leads you into an election and performs so poorly, so abysmally, to the extent that the candidate coming from, let's say, the northern part of the country, even if you want to take it even to the general or the broader perspective for the entire country, out of 16 regions in Ghana, was able to decline in 15 regions. And then the delegates look into the first space based on this same research and say that we still want to go into that direction. I'll be extremely surprised.
Let me bring in Prof. So
because one of the basic tenets that research also have to conform to is, I mean, common sense and logic. I'm not sure today if a research finding is to come and say that Joy FM is the worst performing or multimedia is the worst performing media house in the country, it will sit well with anybody. I mean, people will question it based on the logical consistency that research finding comes. So I'll be very surprised. But of course, we take it in good faith. It is something that even though we take it in good faith, we disagree in part
with the outcome.
Okay. I think the whole narrative about Dr. Bawumia being having been marketed enough is not really supported by the data. Of course, you can be marketed hugely, but that product may still not be likable to the people. And I give you an instance. I give you just the historical trend of the MPP votes in terms of the presidential candidates' performance from 92 till now, just briefly. I take you to 92, Professor Dubois. I mean, in spite of all the hostilities at that time during the because we were just transitioning from military rule to constitutional rule. He was able to pull 1.2 million votes. Then John Kofi in 96 took it to 2.8 million. Then John Kofi again took it to 3.6 million. John Kofi again in his third bid, that is 2004, then escalated it once again to 4.5 million. Then again, for the Akufo-Addo's first time, 4.5 million. And that was when he even won at the first round.
Yeah.
And recall at that time, the highest office that Akufo-Addo had to operate to demonstrate and show visibility to the public in terms of marketability was just two offices. The office of the Attorney General and Minister for Foreign.
But it had been a known face for the MPP since 92.
Bawumia had been a known face for the MPP for the past 8 years as the vice presidential candidate then. That is more marketability than just being around the political system. That is a statement of fact. Then you move on beyond that. Akufo-Addo, the second time, had 5.2 million. The third time, 5.8 million. And in 2020, when he contested for the last time, had escalated even the votes to around 6.7 million. And I just want to give you the context, because if you don't situate things within the context, you may be discarding things out of the pretext. Now you have the most marketed candidate, the most likable candidate, arguably, because people feel that there is a correlation between being marketed and being like, which I disagree. You can be marketed strongly, but still the people may not like you based on own factors or other reasons known to them. Then from 6.7 million, as shown on the graph there, Dr. Bawumia then moved our votes, dropped minus 31.3% to 4.6 million. So, I mean, the logic of marketability as a trump card for the Bawumia agenda really is not supported by the data.
Facts. All right. So, again, Kwasi, so
I want to comment on the marketability thing. You see, like Dr. Kofi said, you can be marketed, but yet still you will not be accepted and liked by the people. And, I mean, recall, I'm just referencing the same Mr. Musa Dankwa.
Right.
He had indicated, I mean, right after the general elections, that in terms of the general outlook and the general acceptability, Dr. Bawumia against any other candidate, mostly he pairs with John Mahama, will still lose. So for me, that should be the main issue. Whether or not the MPP are still determined to bring Dr. Bawumia, the second issue probably may be whether or not the MPP wants power, or they just believe in maybe presenting somebody who they feel has been marketed, which even this whole concept and arguments about marketability, I disagree. Because if you look at, for instance, his contender, of course, his main contender, Kennedy Agyapong, for instance, he has been around since 92, investing in the party, sponsoring the party, advocating for the ordinary people, the vulnerable people, has been around for some time now. I'm not sure in terms of popularity within the broader Ghanaian base, among the voters, you may see that Dr. Bawumia probably has been more marketed than Kennedy Agyapong. That I may respectfully disagree. So yes, when you are being marketed, I'm not sure it's really about marketability, because if you recall, President Mahama in his first time had only served as a vice president for a short period of time, only unfortunately for the demise of Professor Mills. But yes, so he won his first round of election.
Yes.
If you compare to 16 years of marketability and going to lose with this level of margin, I don't think this whole argument of marketability really comes in. And compared to Kennedy Agyapong, you realize that Kennedy Agyapong, in terms of the marketability, popularity, has been around, in terms of understanding the party's history, has been around and has been more marketed.
So I ask the question, why Ken? As we begin to wrap up on this conversation.
No, in terms of Ken, I think the point has to be made that 2028 is all about winning power. 2028 is not really about maybe just rewarding candidates for showing up in the name of second chance and marketability. I give you an instance of what recently happened to us at Ablekuma North.
Right.
How the NDC treated us and how they bullied and molested us. You need that candidate with that braveness, that courage, that proven track record of discipline, fearless, that track record that indeed, I mean, when he set his mind on what he wants to get, he indeed wants to get it. In terms of...
Yeah, so we'll be wrapping up soon. Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng is just telling me why Kennedy Agyapong should be the preferred candidate for the MPP in the 2028 general elections. I've seen loads of comments here on our WhatsApp platforms, and I'll share it with you as we look at this pool results that came from Info Analytics, Mr. Musa Dankwa. So, Kwasi,
I think the camera, the microphone is set. Yeah. So I mean, for the point that I was making, you see, 2028 is not really about parties. It's also about the personalities.
Right.
Is an election involving personalities, the track record, the credibility of the candidates involved, how Ghanaians trust such people, and of course, in terms of their connection with the grassroots. And if you look at Kennedy Agyapong, his connection with the grassroots, the message that he carries, the message of creating jobs, I've always maintained that our problems as a country has always been systemic. Job creation, roles, health, whatever. And especially as even at the individual level, has been able to achieve as at an individual level, talking about the job creation, talking about the advocacy for the youth. In terms of the acceptability, you realize that if you put Kennedy Agyapong among all the other candidates, he stands quite taller. And of course, I mean, the records are there, the data is already there, that just opposing that with Dr. Bawumia's performance, clearly, he may be a victim of circumstance, whether on matters of economy, whether on matters of geography, any other matters. He may have been a victim of circumstance, but it has been established that looking at the margin of loss and the abysmal performance that he demonstrated, which probably as at now still remains the worst form of performance since 92, if we present him, it's not going to work. We need a new face in the spirit of revival, in the spirit of party strength, in the spirit of party harmony, in the spirit of the person who can bring everybody on board, give assurance to the Ghanaian people, have higher acceptability and likability. We are of the strong belief that Kennedy Agyapong stands tall and should be able to win us power into it.
And are you happy with the process so far?
Yes, I mean, obviously, so far so good. You see, at the end of the day, sovereignty resides with the people. There are over 200,000 polling station executives. I mean, it's a more reason why even if we want to scrutinize this data, the research findings that was brought by Mr. Dankwa, we realize that most of the people that he interviewed are within a certain age bracket. Most of them, about 55 to 64. Right. That's not where our strength lies. Kennedy's strength lies with the base, the young people in the party. And we will continue to engage them. We will continue to sell our message to them, the message of hope, the message that we want to rescue the MPP, the message that Ken can indeed win power for the MPP in 2028. Then they are buying it. I mean, I end with the biblical quote. The Bible has always said that the heart of the king is in the hands of the Lord. Like the river that runneth, wherever he like is where he turneth it. So we'll continue to engage them. They are the key makers. They have the power. They are the people where the sovereignty resides. So we'll continue to engage them. And I am extremely and excessively confident they are going to give him the nod, because I am not sure any MPP person, as at now, any true MPP person lies the current state of the MPP. We need to rebrand. We need to regroup. We need to demonstrate that we have rebranded, and that also includes bringing a new face to revive the party. And there is no other person that can revive the new patriotic party than.
And finally, you think Akwatia should be such that the MPP use it as the springboard to galvanize itself ahead of election? I mean, the outcome is very important for the party.
Oh, certainly. I mean, it was our seat, and we are preparing again to contest. So far, even if you look at all the findings also being on grounds, you realize that I wouldn't want to call it a comfortable lead, but we are doing well. We'll continue to engage, we'll continue to mobilize, and I'm confident that Akwatia will come back.
All right.
To the MPP.
Mr. Kwasi Kwarteng.